So lately, I've been playing a lot of Danganronpa. In fact, I finished the first two games and I'm willing to give Ultra Despair Girls a try one day, too. Another game, or platforming games, that I'm a bit embarrassed to say I enjoyed tons is Roblox. It stayed with me since I was a kid, from both the game itself and the YouTube videos I watched. Now, a genre on Roblox that I've been fairly mixed with over the years is that of the roleplay genre, which sadly suffers a lot from the young player base. However, once in a while you just find that one role playing server or game where you immerse yourself to create something truly special. And that is what we're talking about today. Ladies and gentlemen, Danganronpa Island Life. As the title implies, Danganronpa Island Life is a role-playing game based off of the Danganronpa series, particularly the second game, Goodbye Despair. There are multiple ways to play this game. You can either just roleplay with no proper set-in-stone narrative, or join a game hosted by someone for maximum immersion. While so far I have only played a single round of hosted roleplay, I will try my hardest to make sure that this review of sorts lets you know when something's set in stone or just my personal first impressions. Enough about that though. Let's talk about the reason I wanted to cover presentation first is because I feel like every Roblox roleplay starts with a map to explore, then the characters to customize yourself with, maybe even some music added to improve the ambience. That being said, wow, this game handles these aspects good. Starting with the set, it's exactly what it needs to be multiple different buildings providing individuality for the murders. Of course, there isn't as much variety as in something like the official Danganronpas, which is to be expected with such a small space. Some more maps would have been awesome, but maybe a bit too much to work on. If you're like me and don't like spending money on Robux to buy yourself clothing directly from Roblox's catalog, this game's got you covered with a full blown catalog of its own to customize your character with. You can also give yourself a roleplay name via text box at the bottom of the screen, but that's quite normal for roleplays on Roblox. However, your roleplay name is placed directly in front of your text bubbles. And in a game where dialogue is vital to solving mysteries, that's not exactly a good thing. Let's discuss this in a bit at the gameplay and storytelling section. Finally, let's talk about the music. What this game does is that not only does it have a host, but also a curator that does stuff like set the music, mute players when necessary, and teleport people for convenience. The only thing I want to talk about in something close to detail is how effective the music choice is. Sometimes it pulls from Danganronpa for scenes like introducing the headmaster, but even some Persona or Mario music too. It seriously adds to the ambience a ton, and in general, I just gotta give props to the curators. Anyways, I think we've talked about the presentation long enough now. Let's talk about. As previously mentioned in the What Is It section, here's when my opinions go from concrete to rather just first impressions. I'm not saying every round of roleplay is like this, just the one round I got to experience. When I joined the game for the first time, I was lucky and arrived just before the round started. I am aware of the game's Discord server, so there may be an indicator of sorts when new rounds start, which, if so, is a great idea to tell others beforehand so they know when to clear their schedule. Speaking of clearing a schedule, when you host story based roleplays like this, you have to keep in mind that the players need to be committed. They need to make sure that they have the time so that they don't stand AFK for like an hour. That could mess with the entire thing. Plus, when it comes to Danganronpa in particular, they need to know the source material and have a good mindset to solving mysteries. If not, then someone's bound to fail at the class trial. A disclaimer at the start of the game would be great to accomplishing that. But then, what about the structure of the roleplay? How does the story progress? If you've ever played a Danganronpa game before, it's basically the exact same thing, just more open. The host tells you the events that lead up to the island school life at the beginning, and then the cycle starts. At least in my first round, you meet up at the beach for a morning call of sorts every morning then eat some breakfast at the cafeteria, then some free time, then dinner, and then either another trip to the beach or you go to sleep. Now, here is when things become more technical, and I'm surprised they even managed to pull it off. Every morning at the cafeteria, you get the choice to respond to a curator message if you want to kill someone, which is, of course, anonymous. From what I can tell, a murder is most likely to occur the upcoming night. That obviously means that there's a long wait for the murder to be set up, which I honestly don't have a problem with. What I do have a problem with is the fact that due to me not understanding how setting murders works to begin with, I start asking what's even possible to accomplish with the game. For example, does the murderer host decide how the case goes? What about the victim? Are the different ways to commit murder already predetermined? What's just straight up impossible behind the boundaries of Roblox? I personally find the limitations a bit too vague, especially if you haven't played a Danganronpa game before. I know that I might be explaining this poorly, but you get where I'm coming from, right? Now then, let's talk about the aftermath of a murder, aka the investigation and class trial, both plagued by a huge problem: the player cap. I'll admit that I don't know exactly how the player cap on Roblox works. Maybe the mods have no choice but to make it high so that they can actually join themselves. However, when there are at least 20 players that each have a chance to be a murderer, stuff just gets clogged up and hinder focus. Investigating crime scenes is extremely challenging as everyone stands at the same spot, blocking everything from your vision. Then there's the class trial where there aren't even enough places for everyone to stand. And even if there was, there's no way to make others hear you. Either their focus is on someone else the entire trial, or you're blocked by their talking your names. Despite the original Danganronpa games having this exact concept with a non-stop debate, at least there everyone gets a chance to talk, and you're the only player with an input. Here it's just chaos, and if you actually solve the entire case all by yourself, the host might not even notice with everything else going on. It's just clogged. But even if it wasn't clogged, the vagueness of the clues you get make it a nightmare to solve the crime. In my case, we got all the hints given to us regardless of if we even saw the crime scene, which is the only way this could have worked, by the way. But that's it. No info on the hints. They were just the name of the evidence with no info accompanying it, like in Danganronpa. They could have fixed this by adding descriptions to the evidence you can access by clicking on it. That'd make everything much easier to understand. The case I was in was actually a suicide too, but from the vagueness of everything told to us, it was just too convoluted to understand. However, enough about that. Time to come to my conclusion. Danganronpa Island Life is one of those Roblox games that makes you realize the site is by no means just scammy kids games. The passion and commitment I've seen through only a single round shows me that the creators know what they're doing and just want to make a game that entertains fans of the series that I can only assume they love just as much as their players. It is by no means perfect, though, as you have to be really committed yourself to properly enjoy it. The limitations of what you can do are unclear, especially if you haven't played the Danganronpa game before. The player cap is a bit too high, so keeping track of everything and getting people to listen to you during class trials is near impossible. And the info given to you about the evidence at the crime scene is close to none. However, if you enjoy both Roblox and especially Danganronpa, I'd still recommend it. Massive props to the people behind this game, and thank you for inspiring me to make another video. I seriously need to make more content. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time for my round two. If you've made it to the end, thank you for watching. If it ain't too much of a hassle, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video with a friend. This YouTube hobby of mine is seriously fun, and I'd love to continue making videos for others to enjoy. Anyways, this has been me, Topian, and remember to keep your vibe checked. Peace